great afternoon. As you can see, we've got clouds behind, and it had a few sprinkles, and it's looking a bit dark in some areas. So I didn't go right down by the water. I got a place that is not going to, if it rains, it's not going to be muddy where you get stuck and you would have a difficult time. So the puppies, we came out and the puppies, had their walk. Now, I got in to move the car a little bit. I wanted to set it up a little better, and Miss Lily starts whining because they want me to come back and spend time with them back here. So, I resettled the car, so it's easier to get up and down this evening. And what are you after, Mr. Mickey? Did you lose a toy back there? Look at these two. They're looking for a toy. What did you lose back there? What's there? Huh? Did you lose one of the toys back there? Did you lose one of the toys? Oh, there's one. Here, Mickey, are you looking for this one? Is that the one you're looking for? Yeah. They've got quite a few toys in here. He's looking for something else. Maybe it's the pink fuzzy bone. It might be back in there. So I'll have to find out. Now, I had a rice cooker that showed up today. And you can set it, and run for a couple of hours for stew, etc. And so we'll see how that works in here. It's really tiny. The thing inside is like this. It's just that big. Okay, it's tiny. Okay, it's supposed to be a 200 watt. Mickey, do not chew on there. Oh, Mickey, you bad boy. He's chewing on my box here. What is with you? She chewed up the edge of my table here, the wood, and now he's wanting to chew on the box. Do not chew on that, Mickey. I will spank your hiney. Make it bright and shiny. He says, no, you won't. He says, I know you won't. You wouldn't do that to me. I don't know what's with him. He wants to chew on wood, and then he got her started on it, and my brand new thing that I put in here, she's chewed the total corner off of that piece. I couldn't believe it. So anyway, we're out here for the evening. We're going to spend the night out here tonight. And, because so many times I've come out and then I've gone back and just spent the day and had to go back. But we are going to spend the night tonight. Yeah. They're having crunchy num-nums again. And then I'm going to make something to eat here again pretty soon. So we'll see. But I think things are getting a bit better. I mean, I'm still not out of the woods with the diverticulitis, but since I'm, really gone on the carnivore stuff again, it seems to be getting better. So we'll see how I do tonight, and if things are going to get better. But I know that, when I had the definitely gluten, even the gluten-free cannot do it. You know, they say you need more fiber. Not in my case. That's what did this to me. That's what gave me the problem. I am quite sure of that. Because when I was doing straight carnivore for 6 months, it reversed my diabetes, and I was doing fine. So why did I break my carnivore? It was just simply because I was craving, you know, I love pasta, and, you know, I do like that salad thing, you know, something cool. And so, I started adding those, and the minute I did, you know, all H broke loose. It was, you know, and since I am not a big proponent of pain and feeling like you're passing glass shards, I'm go back to carnivore and stick with it. So that's where that's at. Now, I have been watching, you know, really amazing stories of carnivore. So many, I don't know how many I've heard that had MS and went carnivore and reversed it. Yeah, even MS. That's amazing. I've seen so many stories. There's a guy up in Alaska, and he was it 500 pounds? I think he's 500 pounds. And really thought he was going to die, just couldn't walk hardly at all, even to get to the bathroom and stuff. And he's been doing the carnivore, I think it's almost a year now. He's lost a couple 100 pounds, and he's able to get around now, and his things are all looking better. I have seen story after story after story of people also that were vegans. They were vegans, and you know, and for a number of years, and I think it's after like 6 years, 10 years, their health really started taking nosedives. One woman was having severe arthritic stuff. And what else was going on with her? It was really severe, and she was definitely a vegan for quite some time, and she went carnivore and everything reversed. So I'm just saying, you know, if you are vegan or vegetarian or keto, even keto, and you start having, and you're having really a lot of bad medical issues, you know, watch the carnivore things and just, you know, now I'm not telling you have to do it. Don't get me wrong with that. No. But I don't know how many I know of vegans and vegetarians. Now, when I was, you know, I went through the Kundalini, and I definitely tell my people, if you want to ground, the best way to ground is have meat. Now, you cannot, well, you can believe, because you know how they push vegetarianism. If you're on a spiritual path, it's much more spiritual. Well, it's not really. If people know anything about, and people just don't know really what's in India, but living in India, where I was living, it was only vegetarian. That's it. And that is how I developed diabetes. Yeah, from being vegetarian for 5 years in India. And that's where I developed the diabetes. Yeah. So, you know, when I came back, I wound up, you know, I tried keto, I tried all these other things, and they had me on the shots and the metformin as well. And it was just a vicious circle. The metformin, the shots make you gain weight, and the more weight you gain, the worse your diabetes gets. It was an endless circle. Okay? So, yeah, that was not good. But that's how I developed diabetes, was being vegetarian for 5 years in India. Okay? Now, people say that, we see some of these ones that are doing vegetarian and vegan, and they say, well, Hindus have had it for so long, and they're, no, they actually haven't. If you actually studied the very old texts during the golden age of India, they were not vegetarians. That's something new, okay? That's up there, and since they've done that, they've had a lot more health problems, and that's the truth of it. Now, and they think that Buddha was a vegetarian. Buddha was not a vegetarian. In fact, he died from tainted pork. Now, I don't think that somebody tried to poison him, but back then they didn't have refrigeration or anything, so I think what he got was tainted pork, and that's how he died. But the Buddhist mentality was, don't kill it specifically for me, okay? That was it. But they would eat whatever. There are many Buddhist sects that do eat meat. Many of the Tibetan ones, they eat meat. The Dalai Lama eats meat. Why? For his health. When he started to go vegetarian, he developed medical issues. So he went back to eating meat. So again, if you've read the really old texts, and you have some of the Hindus now that go, oh, they went back and they changed those, and they're trying to discredit Hinduism. No, nobody went back and changed texts from the golden age of India. No. And then you have a lot of the vegans and vegetarians that say, oh, they've got Krishna and they just love the cows and they're so good with it. No, they're not. Okay? Let me tell you the truth about India. You have a temple dedicated to Krishna, and they have the chowkidar out there, security, that when the cow comes by, he beats the cow. Yeah. And they will buy all this food in these plastic bags. They throw the plastic bags, the cow ingests them, and they're laying there dying in absolute agony, and they will not allow a vet to put them out of their misery. They go, no, it's the cow's karma. So you have to be there, and you watch these animals absolutely suffering there. You see how badly they are treated. And then you have people, that have this fantasy notion about India, that put it on a pedestal because they've never been there. They've never lived there. They don't know what's actually going on in society there now. And it's a lot of propaganda. Okay? Again, in the old texts during the times of Ram, he would go out with a bow and arrow and things. And then you could not be a good Brahmin unless you were eating, what's that word? Beef? Yeah. When the guest came, they had the beef, etc. And that is in the very, very old texts. And if you actually do the research, you will find out that the vegetarianism came up when after Buddha and things, and so the Hindus said, well, we have to, this is making us look bad. And now I've had somebody else too that went to India, and they came back and they were absolutely shocked, and I'm turning them in, and they're sacrificing goats and, well, that's the Kali Mandir. They've been doing it for centuries. Okay? This is not something new. And so why do they sacrifice goats? Kali is Kundalini. Okay? And there's a reason that you have meat. Okay? So not all Hinduism is on this vegetarian kick. Although, you know, I'm sure that many of the ones around Kali will say it's vegetarian, but there's a reason that they had goat sacrifices, etc. So, you know, it's just there's so much misinformation out there about India, etc. It's also, I hear these women that say, oh, they have women on a pedestal there. What? It is the most abusive place for women. Do you know if your ankles are showing, you're a loose woman? If you go to India, you never shake a man's hand, okay? You never take a picture with the village boys. Why? Because they say that you're a loose woman and they're having sex with you. Yeah. You don't go out by yourself because you know how many women get raped in India? The marriages are mainly, they have a bride dowry. And in India, they want a fair-looking girl, well-educated. But when she gets married, all of that goes out the window. You're there to provide male children and to take care of the parents. You're not allowed to work. And many times they won't let them wear modern clothing anymore. They have to go back to saris and things. Yeah. And do you know that even in some of the villages, they still promote sati? Do you know what sati is? That says that if you are a pious Hindu woman, when your husband dies and they light the pyre on fire, you're going to jump on the pyre and die with him. Yeah, yeah. There are actually villages that still promote sati. Okay? And when a husband dies, they throw the woman out. You wear white, and you're no value to the family any longer. Okay? You know how many widows you see out there? I don't care if this is a young child that got married to an older man and he dies, she's a pariah. Okay? And so sometimes they go to these temples and they prostitute them out. That happens. Okay? It's just, if a woman does not have sons, if she has daughters, they blame the woman. Okay? She gets beat. They don't like something. Magically, they have these kitchen fires. Okay? They just throw oil on her and light her on fire. Okay? So people have such a mistaken notion about, you know, they worship Shakti, they worship women, they put them on a pedestal. If you live there, and I'm not talking about living there and being in some, you know, ashram setting and you're going around to these, you know, touristy spots, etc. I'm talking about really living there, okay, and getting to know the society. People also think that they are so religious there. Oh my God, they're so spiritual. Yeah, no. You know what they do when they go to the temple? They're asking for good business. They're asking for males. They're asking for things of the world. They're not asking for enlightenment. They're not asking for, you know, wisdom. They're asking for male children, a good business, that type of thing. Okay. So, you know, I see so many people with stars in their eyes and putting out all this fantasy notions about what they think is in India. Okay? And about how fabulous they are with vegetarianism and everything. Yeah. So, yeah, you just spend some time and really get to know the culture, and you'll find out, like I said, the golden age of India was so long ago. Oh my God, there are hundreds and hundreds of these little white bugs flying around out there. Hundreds of them. I mean, just clouds of these little white flies, I guess, gnats, flies, something. I have never seen such big clouds of those things out there before, so I am definitely not opening any windows in here. Oh my Lord. That's crazy. So anyway, that's, you know, the story of how I went and how I developed diabetes. And yes, I did live as a vegetarian for a time. Oh, and I was going to tell you too. I told you I have Kundalini, and you know, I have people that just give me such a bad time about meat and telling my students to ground to eat meat, and they will tell you 100% that's true. That they were having so much difficulty with their spiritual path and being ungrounded and all of this, and when they did start incorporating meat, it did help them. Now I have another story. Well, I'll give you two more examples. I knew people, again, when I lived in Arizona, I was fed, you know, I was going through, and I was still having meat and stuff, and I knew these ones that were vegetarian, and they really gave me a hard time. You know, they came back a few years later and apologized to me and said, you know, we had to start eating meat. Their health started taking a nosedive, and they started incorporating meat and got better again. Now I'll tell you another true thing that happened. I had a student, Indian family, father's a doctor. The son, they had him on medications. They said he was hyper, etc. He was on medication. He was, I forget how old he was. He wasn't real young, okay? And his mother was still hand feeding him, okay? They were vegetarians. And I saw this boy, and he was developing tics. I saw him, you know, from the medication and stuff. And I recognized that. And I talked to the family. And this kid was just so, you know, you could tell he was intelligent, but he was not doing well because of the medication and the vegetarianism and the things that were going on. Well, he came to stay with me, and I told him flat out, he may have to eat meat, and I'm telling you this up front, okay? So he came and stayed with me. He learned how to actually feed himself. And yes, when he got a hold of meat, his body needed it so badly. I mean, he was just cramming it in. And do you know, his father was a doctor. He wanted to be a better doctor than even his father. He reversed from that medication. He wound up getting, scholarships. And he became, I think he was either a heart surgeon or neurosurgeon. Yeah. He had a massive turnaround in his life. And, I've heard from them a few times through the years, where he came back and said, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'm glad to hear he's doing so well. So that's really good. His mother, come to think of it, she had really bad, like a psoriasis, a skin thing. I think if she started eating carnivore, I've heard people with really bad skin conditions like that thing too, that reversed it as well. So yeah, I mean, again, people just don't understand all of the things. And you hear the vegetarian, vegan, especially, what is her name, Vegan Booty or something? She's so obnoxious. She's in Australia, I think it is. She says, well, I don't eat sentient beings. I don't eat... Well, I hate to tell her, if she read the definition of a sentient being, a plant is also a sentient being. And I would like to know what she does if she has an ant infestation, cockroaches, mice. What does she do? She opens her house and says, fabulous, come in. Or does she know that almond milk, how many bees die because they spray it? Or, unless you're eating totally organic all the time, totally everything organic, it's getting sprayed, and those chemicals are there to do what? Okay? When you're growing crops, they don't want the different animals to come in and eat the crops. So, to sit there and think that animals are not being killed in the process of their food, they need to research deeper and find out the truth of it. Okay? And if you've ever gotten to, when everything dismantles and you find out what's at the core, you find out everything has consciousness. Everything. Okay? And it's just the way this planetary system is. Hey, you two. And so you're not more spiritual if you're just eating plants than if you are carnivore. Okay? Everything has its cycle, life cycle. Now, I don't agree with the way that they keep chickens or some of the slaughterhouse practices and stuff like that. I am not, saying that's okay at all. But there is a way to have regenerative farming, okay, grass-fed cows, regenerative farming, etc., that is beneficial. And so, yeah. There are a lot of things that need to be changed. But, again, if you are vegan, vegetarian, and you've been that way for quite some time, and then all of a sudden you're having arthritic, you're having IBS, you're having a lot of different problems, MS, I mean, there are so many things that come up. It might behoove you to check into carnivore. Yeah, I know it's a tough thing to overcome, because you got yourself in such a psychology. To step out of that takes time, and it can be difficult. I know. I know. I understand that cycle. But again, don't believe everything that you hear from India about they're all vegetarian, they're so fabulous, and yeah, no. That was not in the golden age of India. It absolutely was not. And I see what it does with people in India, how much illness and things are there and happening. Yeah. But each to their own. Everyone has to make their own decisions, you know, and find out what works and what doesn't. Now again, you could be a vegetarian or a vegan for many years. And at first, when you change your dietary stuff from maybe a lot of sugars and a lot of that stuff to vegetarian, it might seem that things get better for a time. But I'm talking about over the long term. Just be aware of those things that happen. And, you know, you can check out the stories of the vegetarians and vegans that had to go carnivore. Yeah, what was happening with them. And it's very, very interesting. Okay. I'm a Lily. So on that note, I'll leave that here, and I'll see you online.